Hello, hello, hello. What's up? What's up? What's up, everybody? So, StreamYard now lets us edit within the app. So, I no longer have to use the OBS, but I'm still probably use that other system. But I'm, I'm able to do everything directly on here. So, this is dope right here. I like this. So, I'm testing out going vertical. But I wanted to talk about the whole Diddy pardon, the Trump thing. Like, y'all, it's all a distraction and it's all bullshit to keep us from talking about them Epstein files. Let's get into it, y'all. What's up? What's up? What's up, everybody? It's your boy AT2 here. How everybody doing? How everybody living? How everybody feeling today? Of course, Brown Eye Cancer. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you were the first one. What's up, Netta? What's up, DJ Genesis? Happy 4 months, Nini. Thank you for being here. Yeah, it's all a distraction. We all know that it constitutes to nothing. Trump is toying and teasing with this. Let me tell you what's going to end up happening. I do think that he will end up pardoning Diddy, but not until his term is almost over with. That's usually what every president do. They wait until the end of their term because it's not going to affect them, and then they just start pardoning everybody, no matter what. But again, Diddy is going to have to pay for these pardons like the other celebrities have done. And I probably will break this down in a longer form video one day about how a lot of these celebrities that we first seen come out talk about Trump and why they're silent this term.
I just want to play again.
Oh, by the way, this is Wes Morlin. This is the lawyer that was on Diddy's team. She was the one that everybody really liked, who said that she was a good lawyer. They're going to talk about the Trump and Diddy, the Diddy pardon that they're asking for Trump, because they reached out to Trump asking for a pardon because they believe Diddy's in danger of his life, and so they're going to any end to try to get a pardon for Diddy so he can get out of jail.
The actual clip of Donald Trump talking about the possibility of a pardon.
You know, I was very friendly with him. I got along with him great, and seemed like a nice guy. I didn't know him well, but when I ran for office, he was very hostile. He made some terrible statements. So I don't know. It's more difficult. It makes it more. I'm being honest. It makes it more difficult to do.
But more likely a no for Combs.
I would say so.
Okay.
Finally, what is your message to Donald Trump if he's watching this?
To look at the case and make his decisions from there. I think that pardon him would be the.
Now, she know Trump don't read. He's not reading or looking into any goddamn case. He banking on his people telling them like, hey, you want to pardon him or not? They don't do no goddamn reading. Come on now.
Right thing to do, given the history of the Man's Act. You know, if I'm not mistaken, President Trump pardoned Jack Johnson, and the Mann Act was used against him. And so, you know, if he has the opportunity to look through the case and make his decisions from there. I think looking through the case and the history of the Mann Act and where we are now, and that this type of behavior, you know, is not being prosecuted. It's not. Mr. Combs was prosecuted because he's Sean Puffy Combs, and that's just not right, and it's not fair, and he does not deserve to be where he is right now because of the Mann Act. He just doesn't deserve that. And so
real quick, Jack Johnson was the old school boxer, and I believe it was something like they accused him of, I have to remember the story, but it was after he had already died, you know, And the Mann Act, you know, it has history of racism. This is one of the reasons because of Jack Johnson. I'm just going to read you this real quick. The Mann Act, also known as the White Slave Traffic Act, was a U.S. law passed in 1910 that prohibited the transportation of women across state lines for immoral purposes. Jack Johnson, the first African-American heavyweight boxing champion, was prosecuted and convicted under the Mann Act in 1913. This conviction is widely viewed as racially motivated, as the law was used to target his relationship with a white woman. So he was with a white woman and they wanted them to stop, you know, they didn't want them to be with their women. So this is one of the things. This is before Loving versus Virginia, by the way. So again, it does have racial undertones. Like, I am not excusing that. But Jack Johnson, he wasn't beating on women, peeing on women, you know, forcing them to have sex. Like, this was a relationship that consensual relationship he had with a white woman. So let's be clear, you know, two different scenarios, two different things. It is not the same at all. And so what they're trying to tell you is like, oh, well, Jack Johnson, he got one. Come on now. We not doing that. We not doing that.
We just like fairness. We like fairness. And I'm hopeful that, you know, at the end of the day, that a fair outcome will come from this, and that somehow this will turn itself around to be something positive.
Nicole Wes Morlin, I really appreciate you coming on Uncensored. It was a very interesting interview. Thank you.
Again, like I said, I think under normal terms, Trump wouldn't even tease this. He wouldn't even bat an eye or look at Diddy twice. The reason why he's kind of playing and toying with this idea is to distract us from the Epstein files. Simple as that. They don't want us talking about the Epstein files. They don't want us to keep bringing that up. Oh, don't mention it. It's nothing to see here, nothing to see. No. There's a lot to see. You know, there's definitely a lot to see. And as you guys may or may not know, they're issuing these subpoenas. Like the Clintons got a subpoena, and it's all over the Epstein files and trying to figure out what they know and stuff like that. Call me crazy, but I think the subpoena needs to come within the White House. I think they need a subpoena the man that's currently the resident of that White House. The man that they elected to president. I think they need to issue him a subpoena. I don't know why we avoiding the main target. Again, this guy was around John Casablancas, you know, who has allegations. He literally, and this is what had the streets have been saying, Epstein learned about the whole modeling thing from Donald Trump, who used to run the Miss USA. But not only that, he had the elite models contract and stuff like that. So Jeffrey Epstein learned all this shit like, oh, I can get these girls from these different countries and stuff like that, promise them visas, so then I can go ahead and yeah. And then the whole thing with Galain Maxwell being moved to Texas to a nicer facility and stuff like that. They already teasing us for this whole pardon thing. Don't be confused by it at all. They're already teasing us with it. They're trying to get us ready and trying to, you know, soften the blow when they finally are like, all right, we're gonna give her a pardon. But not only that, just know anything now that she says, it's probably gonna be bullshit. Trump lawyer went to go meet with, before they moved her, remember Trump lawyer went to go meet with her. And so that just tells you they were probably all like, all right, don't say anything about Trump. Trump was not there. You don't know anything about Trump. Name a whole bunch of Democrats and then you'll be good. I know that's what they told her. That's what they told her. And mind you, this is not a lady who's in jail for traffic crime. I mean, not traffic crimes. Money or anything financial. She's in jail because literally she was running a whole madam service for Jeffrey Epstein. What's up, Nadi? How you doing? Thank you for being here. That's what she's in jail for. She's a whole madam and everything. And let's not forget something too. She also participated in the sex acts. Not that she was the one that also told them like what they need to do for the men and how to get ready and prepare. She also participated. They had threesomes with the victims. Like, let's not forget that. It's not that, oh, she was the one organizing the situation. No. She participated too as well. I think a lot of people forget that point, and it's all like, this is not a good lady. This is not somebody who should be shown any mercy or any grace. She is sick. She is nasty. Oh, thank you, Nadia. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. I appreciate that super sticker. Yeah, but she is not a lady that's supposed to be out and about. And here's the other thing too. I almost feel like, did they move her to a different facility so then it can make it easier to why she unalived herself, like they did like, it's just so many different questions I have. Like, maybe this is a setup for her and she don't even realize it. This definitely could be setting her up for something, and she just trying to be happy to get the hell out of jail, right? Not even realizing this might be a setup for her. Telling you. You got to look out for that. You got to look out for things like that. There's a lot more to this. They didn't just willingly move her. There were some deals and some stipulations put into place. Not a bald-head scallywag. She was more than a kitty tamer. Yeah. A lady of the night, maybe. Yeah, this was not a good lady, you guys. Not at all. So them trying to pardon her and stuff like that, I'm all like, pardon her? And earlier I did say, and I want to, because I know people like to clip me when I said, oh, well, if there was no victims and nothing to see, then go ahead and free Galain. Yeah, that's what I was referencing to, them saying that there was nothing to see here about the Epstein files. That's what I was referencing. Not that she's innocent and that she needs to be free. So I just want to clarify that, okay? All right, here we go. I want to bring up... Why I got so many tabs? Oh, here we go. I heard about this one, so I haven't seen it, but they asked him about the files, and of course he's blaming it on the Democrats, even though the Democrats didn't push for the Epstein files to be released.
Talk about the Epstein situation, and I think the reporter who reported it needs to get better sources.
Look, the whole thing is a hoax. It's put... And that's just a way of trying to divert attention to something that's total bullshit.
President Trump and Vice President Vance addressing reports of a meeting that was set to take place yesterday with the VP.
Hold on, let me take that back, y'all, so y'all can hear that
Fake
again.
news. We're not meeting to talk about the Epstein situation, and I think the reporter who reported it needs to get better sources.
Look, the whole thing is a hoax. It's put out by the Democrats because we've had the most successful 6 months in the history of our country. And that's just a way of trying to divert attention to something that's total bullshit.
President Trump and Vice President Vance addressing reports of a meeting that was set to take place yesterday with the VP and key Trump administration officials expected to discuss the Epstein files fallout. Vance now claiming that meeting was fake news, despite NBC News and multiple other outlets reporting it was set to take place. I want to bring in NBC News White House correspondent Monica Alba, MSNBC legal analyst and former U.S. Attorney Barbara McQuaid, and Walt Pavlo, CEO of Prisonology, an expert firm that represents inmates before the Bureau of Prisons. Monica, do we know what happened with this meeting that was planned at the VP's residence? And what's the plan now?
Well, 24 hours ago, Anna, we were told by 3 sources familiar with the meeting that there was going to be a gathering of some of these key people. Of course, you have Vice President Vance, who was going to be hosting it with White House Chief of Staff Susie Wiles, in addition to the Attorney General Pam Bondi and Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche. But we were told that this was going to be a conversation where these officials could discuss a range of topics, including most likely the Jeffrey Epstein controversy.
So basically, what's going on right now, you guys, is that they know that the Epstein thing is not going away. They know that it's not going away. So what they're trying to do is basically devise a plan to like, how do we distract the people and how do we talk about this when people bring it up? Because they don't have a cohesive message. Because at first it was like, yeah, Jeffrey Epstein, we're gonna release those files and we're gonna do this and that. But don't forget, the Wall Street Journal already told us that Trump was told by Pam Bundy that, yeah, you on some of these files. Now, again, we don't know what it exactly says, as far as him, what activity he was into or whatnot. But I mean, if you're in these files and specifically it's regarding the trafficking and like, one thing that drives me crazy that people don't draw a correlation to, these women, these victims, not women, girls, excuse me. See, I even said women, girls, these girls that were trafficked, they were at Mar-a-Lago. And remember the other day, Trump said, oh yeah, he stole her from me. So one of the workers there, I believe, I don't know which one it was, but it was one of the workers there, Jeffrey Epstein, quote unquote, stole her from Trump. So that's what Trump said. He stole her like she was property. Now, why would you say stole? That's weird. Stole like she was property, right?
And ongoing fallout surrounding that, because the administration is currently evaluating a path forward on a couple of fronts here. But as the day went on, and as you saw there, the vice president was asked about it directly. He said in his words, we're not meeting to talk about Jeffrey Epstein specifically. But then we were told that that so-called gathering that was going to take place in the evening did not actually happen. At least it didn't take place at the vice president's residence at the Naval Observatory. Did it perhaps become a different kind of a meeting? Was it a different kind of a conversation that took place elsewhere? Was it rescheduled? We are still trying to report out more details on that, but I think it was really clear from the
Virginia Guthrie is the one that Epstein stole, quote unquote. Yeah, Virginia Guthrie.
president's own answer, his view on this entire situation, even though, again, we're told by a source familiar with the matter that the White House and the Department of Justice are still trying to make a decision about whether to release the transcripts of those two-day interview conversations between Todd Blanche. Remember, he was the president's personal attorney in the past, now the Deputy Attorney General, and Galain Maxwell. And we were told that the administration is leaning toward transparency, but it's unclear whether they will do that. But if they make that decision, it could take.
Like, what was that whole meeting about? Like, the meeting had to be, hey, you don't say Trump's name and we'll go ahead and make sure everything's good for you. Because why did they move her to that prison in Texas, from Florida to Texas? And it's like a low security. What's the one? Is her name Elizabeth Holmes? The blonde lady, blonde, tall. Elizabeth Holmes is there. Jennifer Shaw from the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, she's there. Like, it's low level crime. And what Ghislaine Maxwell did, it's not low level. She needs to be in the worst prison. Listen, send her to Crocodile or Alligator Alcatraz or whatever they want to call it. Send her ass there.
Place in the coming days, Anna.
Okay, Monica, thank you. And we're also following these developments involving Epstein accomplice Ghislain Maxwell. The federal prison camp where she was moved to had to up their security measures in response to her arrival. So, Walt, explain why her arrival might require changes to security.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me. The main reason is there's very little security to begin with at a federal prison camp, and you are transferring a very high-profile person who's been accused of a very serious, convicted of a very serious crime, a sex offense and human trafficking. They're not used to having that kind of an inmate there. So I would think that there's two things that are going on. One, they don't want anybody to go after any of the inmates that are there. And number two, I think with such a high profile person at a minimum security camp, they want to make sure that that person doesn't walk away, which is something that happens in Bureau of Prisons facilities at federal camps.
This prison has wrought iron fencing out front. It has chain link fencing with razor wire around the perimeter. And while previously visitors could actually enter the grounds without rigorous security.
Something tells me, because at first I was thinking like, oh, they're getting ready to pardon her. Something tells me there's going to be some kind of prison break. And Galain is going to escape and end up running away somewhere to some country, and we're never going to hear about her, and it's going to be this big thing. Y'all, I just thought about that. I just thought about it. Because pardoning her, I believe that would be going too far, right? But what if she breaks out of prison? Y'all, that's going to be the new story. I'm telling you. I'm going to make sure I clip this right here and tell the people, because y'all need to know the next step is that, oh my God, she broke out of prison. Knowing that this is a low security level prison, like, yeah, she broke out of prison. Oh my God, where'd she go? We can't find her. She's going to be in Cuba somewhere, you know, where they can't extradite her. Bali is a little too far. I know everybody say, oh, she's going to go to Bali. Bali's way too far. They're going to put her in Cuba. Because again, we don't have a good relationship with Cuba, so that can easily be like, okay, well, we can't get her back. There's nothing we can do, right? Telling you. Does she know Spanish? We need to look that up.
Now we're learning members of the Federal Bureau of Prisons Special Operations Response Team are checking IDs before letting people in. Walt, what do you make of these specific changes, and what else might you expect?
Well, you know, even though there are fences around these facilities, they're not like a perimeter fence of a prison that you would usually think. I mean, there was an article not too long ago that inmate had walked off of the Bryan facility, multiple inmates. So, I mean, it's not an unusual occurrence. I mean, for this, but again, you're housing a higher security inmate at what is usually a minimum security facility. And I'll add, her ability to get to that is really unprecedented. Her with that crime, the fact that she was a fugitive for a while, and was even denied bail. I mean, tells you the kind of security that they thought that she needed. So they needed to bring that to that facility, and still is unknown why. What big advantage did she see in making that move? But it was obviously done with a lot of knowledge from the top levels of the Trump administration.
Here's something else that caught our attention, just about how strange this seems and unusual as you've described it is. This place where she was transferred to has a program where...
So it's about 8 hours away from Bryan, Texas to Mexico. It's about 8 hours away.
Inmates can train future service dogs. However, the CEO of the company that runs this program tells NBC News Maxwell will not be able to take part in it, saying, quote, "We do not allow anyone whose crime involves abuse towards minors or animals, including any crime of a sexual nature. That's a hard policy we have. Those are crimes against the vulnerable, and you're putting them with a puppy who is vulnerable." So, well, generally, if an inmate couldn't be trusted with a dog, would they belong in this camp?
Well, yeah, according to Bureau of Prisons policies, she does not belong in that camp. I mean, I've never seen a public safety factor for a sexual offender ever waived, and I've seen, and never certainly to a degree of something like this. Now, whether they're eligible or not for a program, I would think that would be up to the Bureau of Prisons. But it's certainly, just because she's at a camp doesn't change her underlying conviction, nor.
And how many years has she served, you guys, on her sentence so far? Because my thing is, like, she's not even close to being released. Like, I believe she's in the first couple of years of her sentencing. Let me see. When did maybe I need to learn how to spell sentenced. 22. That's what it's saying in 22. No. I'm sorry. No, she was convicted in 2021. So 21. So yeah, that's only been 4 years, 3 probably, depending on what the date was. Yeah, not even 5 years, and she's already being moved to a different. Y'all, I'm telling you, the prison break thing, I believe that's going to be more of the story right there. It's going to be, oh my God, she escaped from prison.
The level of security that I believe the Bureau of Prisons had initially thought that she needed.
We've heard former prison officials express outrage and shock. Barb, we're also hearing from some of Maxwell's victims and other Epstein survivors about this move, as well as her recent interview with Todd Blanche, the deputy AG, the former personal defense attorney of Trump. One of these victims writing in a recent court filing, quote, "Why rewind and go back to the convicted sex trafficker questioning after these almost 4 years since she was convicted? What was there to ask? What are you conspiring? What is your next step? What is the end game?" Barb, what do you see as the end game? And what questions do you have about the way the DOJ is handling all of this?
It really is highly unusual, Anna, and I'm glad to see the victims speaking out about this, because when you have a heinous case like this, that is where the focus of the Justice Department ought to be, not re-victimizing victims by dredging up potential benefits to the perpetrator of the crimes. There seems to me no legitimate law enforcement reason.
I think they forget Trump was found liable of sexual assault. So them caring about, oh yeah, we care about the women, we care about this. The same man who said grab out the pussy, cheated on all his wives and everything. Like, this is not somebody you should hold up to any kind of high moral standard. So I mean, all that is bullshit. Whatever.
For Maxwell to be interviewed or for her to be transferred to a more comfortable prison setting at this stage. Some of the things I worry about are Todd Blanche, Donald Trump's former lawyer and the #2 executive at the Department of Justice, meeting with Maxwell. Now, there's been talk about releasing the transcript, but Maxwell knows what they want her to say. If she wants to get some benefit out from under this 20-year sentence, she knows what Donald Trump wants. He wants some sort of exoneration. That is not a legitimate law enforcement objective. It may be a political objective, but it's not a law enforcement objective. And to re-victimize these.
And here's the thing: if it's fake and all of this is a Democratic hoax, why would he send his lawyer down there to talk to her? Why are they still even talking about it? If anything, they should say, oh, we're not going to talk about that. There's nothing to talk about. Why are they still consistently talking about it if it's nothing? You know? Pay attention to that. That says a lot.
Victims solely to obtain some sort of political victory for Donald Trump is really a miscarriage of justice, in my view.
And meantime, Barb, the House Oversight Committee issued some subpoenas this week for the DOJ and several former high-profile officials, including former President Clinton, former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, former FBI Director Robert Mueller, former AG William Barr. You can see others on there as well. But one person not on this list who did not receive a subpoena is Trump's former labor secretary, Alex Acosta, who had orchestrated Epstein's non-prosecution agreement in Florida in 2008. Why wouldn't he be on that list? Why wouldn't they subpoena Acosta, Barb?
Right. So let me repeat that again. Hold on. Let me let her say that.
Agreement in Florida in 2008, who had of State Hillary Clinton, former FBI Director Robert Mueller, former AG William Barr. You can see others on there as well. But one person not on this list who did not receive a subpoena is Trump's former labor secretary, Alex Acosta, who had orchestrated Epstein's
So when Epstein got originally charged back in the early 2000s for all of this, they just let him do like some kind of work at home situation for 13 months instead of putting his ass in jail, which they should have when they did this in Florida. And Alex Acosta was the one who got him that deal, which used to be Trump's former labor guy. So again, all of this is all tied together, you guys.
prosecution agreement in Florida in 2008.
Not by coincidence.
Why wouldn't he be on that list? Why wouldn't they subpoena Acosta, Barb?
Yes, I mean, I think it shows that this is a very one-sided inquiry. If they were truly interested in getting to the bottom of things, no doubt Acosta would be part of that calculus. You know, Acosta oversaw the federal investigation in the Southern District of Florida, certainly had access to the file and understood why it was that he was choosing to defer prosecution to the state of Florida. You know, including Bill Clinton, including Hillary Clinton. It shows that this is perhaps not an effort to truly get to the bottom of things.
Nope, it's all for show. That's basically what it is. It's all for show. All right. Anyway, you guys, please hit that like button, double tap the screen, or you can click the 3 dots on top and then like it. Thank y'all for being here, but I just wanted to run this by you. The Diddy pardon is a distraction. What's up, Diamond? The Diddy pardon is a distraction. All of this is a distraction because, again, the man in the White House is the one that we really should be looking at. Remember, Jeffrey Epstein stole Virginia from him. A 14-year-old girl. He stole. Man, y'all don't want to hear the truth. That's it. Y'all don't want to hear the truth. That's it. Oh, I thought the outro. Damn, it didn't even start. Damn it. All right, here we go. Here's the outro, y'all. But yeah, like I said, y'all don't even want to hear the truth. That's it.